Good morning, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Request approval of the agenda. Any changes? Mr. Hill?
I'd like to add an item under old business for a motion related to the family time at the Oasis.
Yep. Any objection? Any other changes?
As I just a point of order, as I mentioned to you guys in the past, I have a hard stop. So we are going into closed session, and unless it's something that absolutely has to be in closed session, I'd ask for some consideration as I certainly be present, but if we avoid that and do it at another fashion, I'm asking for it to take that into consideration.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? As for approval of minutes for March 20th work session and March 25th regular meeting, I have a motion to accept the minutes as written. Any objection? All in favor? I just want to say good morning to everyone. Thank you for attending the board meeting this morning, and I appreciate your interest in our community. So thank you for attending. Treasurer's report, Patsy.
This report is for the 11 months ended March 31st, 2017, and that is the 11th month of our fiscal year. So April 3rd, the end of our fiscal year, and the end of operating results for this fiscal year. For operating results from assessments and other, we have and this amount is in thousands, so that's really 3,883,000. But I'll say 3,883. And from amenities, net operating result of 361, making a total net operating result for the 11 months of this fiscal year, 4,244. Of that 4,244, 3,712 for the budget was transferred to reserves, and also for the budget transfers for new capital, 234. Leaving a balance of net after transfers of 298. Now, while this is a positive bottom line, the projection for the year is that we will not make budget. For the variances from budget, for the revenue variance of 225 below budget, the amenities in gross revenue were under budget by 322. Parks and Rec was under budget by 23. And assessments, grants, and other were over budget by 119. On the expense variance, 32 over budget, with wages and utilities both being under budget for 93, and bad debt and promotions being over budget for 124, for the total net variance of 257, and the net amenities variance is 223 of that. For reserves and capital, the balance May 1st, 2016, in reserves 4,380, in the bulkhead reserve 1,052. Additions during the year, 2,744 in the reserves, and in the bulkhead reserves 832. Expenditures and transfers out for capital purchases, 2,720 from the reserves and 51 for the bulkhead reserve, making the balance at March 31, 4,404 in reserves and 1,833 in bulkhead reserves. Not shown on the screen because it didn't make the cut for the slide. We need to reformat. And for collections, we have collected year to date 98% of current year assessments, with write-offs of 208 year-to-date.
Thank you. General Manager's report, Brett Hill.
Good morning. I'll just add a note on the Pat's Treasurer's report that through our collections efforts this year, yesterday we filed suit under the statute of limitations deadline on 27 additional cases for past due assessments. Those are ones that were at or past the 3-year mark because we were reaching the limit as to what we could do on the loan overdue assessments. So at this point, everything that we pursue a collections effort on has been pushed through the system, and that we made sure that we didn't lose any in terms of fiscal year when it's like Dan and their staff and staying on top of that. And I think that's part of the reason why you see the 98% rate on this year's assessment being collected. Those efforts have been very productive in bringing that balance down. For our food and beverage operations, and I guess everything in the association overall, we're in the time of year where we're coming back into the summer season. We're getting everything ready to open up. All our food and beverage facilities are getting ready for the summer schedule. Staffing up. We had a job fair yesterday, and as well as today for food and beverage. It's going until 1 o'clock today to bring in the remaining staff. Our J1s will be over here in the next 3 weeks, which they provide a nice supplement to the staff in the Irish Exchange program. So we're getting ready and gearing up for the summer season here, and we're looking forward to it. The marina, the gas stations are close to opening within the coming days. The roof replacement, which was part of the fiscal 17 budget, should be done within the next couple of days on the building out on dock. And the marina store, which had not really functioned in the past, it's also gearing to open up by the middle of May. So we'll have enhanced bait tackle, marine supplies available there at the marina, in addition to carry out food early in the morning, coffee for a boater to come before the bumpers facility is opened up. All of our pools are back to full, and we've been working through the annual maintenance on them, getting the water balance and getting them ready for operation before Memorial Day. The resurfacing projects that we approved back in the fall for the Mumford's baby pool as well as the beach club pool, those have been completed by Pearl Pools as of last weekend, and we have the pools ready for operation. On our bigger projects, I try to get some pictures in here for everybody to see where we are. We have, as I said, a lot of our winter projects are wrapping up. The turn grill, we just got our windows in, and this what was a 3 seasons room, the porch is now a full 4 seasons with heat and air conditioning, nice doors completely sealed from the environment outside, so we'll be able to use that year round. On the inside, this is in that what was an old porch with an open concrete floor and really not that inviting environment. We have everything resurfaced, tiled, and inviting to an expanded restaurant area. Went over into the expanded bar area. The bar is now extra long. We've added additional seating. We have a total of 10 televisions, 4 of them are 4K HD, so we're adding an additional reason for the golfers to stick around after the round and drink and have a nice environment to be in with the beautiful vista. So we'll get the giant snake home. At the beach club, the second floor, we're just finishing up the painting of the second floor and the completion of the repairs that were from the winter of 16 and the storm damage with the water leaking last year. The floor was redone. The picture really doesn't do it justice, but we have all new lights that have been installed, new ceiling fans. There were big plastic domes hanging up here for the lights before, very retro, and we kind of brought this to a more modern look. Got some nice neutral colors, and it's definitely a more inviting and more the second floor are finished, and they are matching to the rest of their bath facilities. And I have some pictures. This is the changing room area on the basement bathrooms. Before, this was all cedar shake, and there were plywood doors on these stalls. It was really not that inviting. We now have, we're all stone tile work in here with expanded locker room. This baby changing station was in the hallway. So if you did have a child in there, you were kind of stuck. People walking around you, they have that now off to the side. This is inside of one of the changing rooms. We have some nice new teak benches on the inside. This the lights are not installed in this one yet. This was electrician found out yesterday with real stall doors with hooks and a nice clean area for changing before after you're going to the beach. This is the vanity area where we have all new touchless faucets now. So we are more in line with ADA standards and have a lot more room and nice clean surfaces in here. This is actually looking out. This was the former shower room, and now this is split up where it showers. We have a nice large handicap stall at the end of the shower room, which has a very large toilet area that has plenty of room for wheelchair or other devices to get in there for their handicap residents, as well as a nice handicap shower with the wand that comes down so that if you can't stand up and reach everything, you're able to take a good shower in the facility. There's our handicap toilet. The men's room, before we had 3 urinals that were all full place, so we did not have an ADA accessible urinal, and there were no partitions in here, so the men were very, very close, and if all the urinals were utilized, so we were able to open up some extra space and make that a more comfortable use environment. And I know before the ladies had partitions in their shower, the men do now too, so each of the shower areas are divided, and I think really done a good job bringing this up to the 21st century, making it the premier facility for our residents. The Magdalen Meadows Playground, this again is coming to completion. We are at this point just waiting for their county inspection. This is set to be inspected first thing next week, and we have a ribbon cutting scheduled for next Saturday, the 6th, at 1 p.m. The festivities are starting over there at 2 o'clock, opening the playground officially. This is the side of the playground looking close to the racket center. Hard to see in the picture, but they have to solve the water problem that we've had in the past with the playground over there. They have a barrier that's put up all the way around containing mulch to raise this area up and help with drainage. On the side closest to the racket center, where we have the real parking lot and handicap accessible parking, there is a ramp right there. Hard to see in the picture, but a ramp for ADA access into the playground. Back here, blocked by this playground structure, we have the ADA swings, which are geared more to individuals that need a comfort. I think they're called soothing swings. They are the new standard in playgrounds for people with needs that might not be able to use a regular swing. This is from the garden, the community garden side of the playground. And if you'll notice, which was part of the plan, the gazebo that used to be over by the racket center and really wasn't, has been brought into the center of the playground. So for parents whose children are running around the playground, there's a nice structure in the shade, and we can utilize that existing feature that was there. And if you remember from the bids, there's structures all the way around here. The playground on this community, the community garden side, is geared for the smaller children of the lower age group. On the racket center side, we're geared for the larger children, 6 to 12, with multiple features throughout the playground. As far as all 3 of these projects go, the turn drill, we have all of our certifications completed with the county except for fire. Our fire alarm contractors spouse passed away 2 weeks ago, and because of her death, he was unable to get out and complete the last items on our list. That's supposed to be wrapped up this weekend, and we're scheduled for the fire marshal to come out on Monday at 10 a.m., which should give us our occupancy to open the facility up. The beach club, the final punch list is being completed on Monday. Tuesday, crews are coming and cleaning it on Wednesday. We're set for a final inspection with Ocean City and our occupancy on both the lower level and second floor bathrooms and the Macklin Meadows playground. So that's set up for inspection. That's on Wednesday also. It's first thing this week, so it'll be cleared for all of our permits and use that.
With regard to the permits for the beach club, will the entire facility be opened up once that goes through?
I'm sorry, yes. Well, we will be able to use the entire facility. The only other work taking place in there is our normal cleaning and painting, which is not permit level work. But as far as all the large construction, yes, we'll be clear. And at this point, Willow actually has brought this in 8 days early. So the drop dead on that was next Friday, the 12th, I believe. And we're going to have it turned over on the 3rd. So even with change orders and extra work that had to take place from the unknown stuff that came behind the walls, our contractor there actually completed additional work and brought it in ahead of schedule. So we are right now holding to opening for Mother's Day brunch on Sunday, the 14th, as our first anything inside of the building, and then we'll be open following weekend in between Mother's Day and Memorial Day weekend being the official opening of everything on that campus. Something like that. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Public comments. If you have any public comments, please step up to the microphone and just announce your name and address.
Tom Janicek, 17 Lookout Point. First I want to commend you all and Brett on the yacht club and the facility at the golf club, and now seeing the pictures of the beach club. It all looks phenomenal. My thing is what I want to talk about is a 20% off homeowners discount, which I love. I'm there all the time. Believe me, it saves me a lot of money. Already has in 2 weeks. But I think as a businessman and somebody who knows a lot of people who own restaurants and businesses in Ocean Pines and in Ocean City, I just believe that we should be doing this in the season from Memorial Day to Labor Day, only Sunday through Thursday. It makes no sense to have 300 to 400 people on Friday night at the yacht club that are going to be there anyway and lose 20% of our revenue. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think we're going to get 21% more people in there spending the kind of money that we need in order to justify a Friday and Saturday night 20% discount. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I understand. I mean, I was there on Thursday night. It was standing room only. For trivia night, you couldn't get a seat at the bar. And I saw a lot of new faces, people I've never seen there. So I know it's working. But the food's better. The service is getting better because these kids are learning what they're doing, and they should be great by the time we get to Memorial Day. My thing is, you're getting the people back. I don't believe we need to give away 20% of our income in the summer. Leighton doesn't do it. John Fager doesn't do it. Billy Carter, none of these guys would give away a 20% or even a happy hour on Friday and Saturdays. They just don't have to. People are here. They're spending the money. They're in Ocean Pines. They're going to go, and the people that you brought in Sunday through in the off season are going to come back because the food's better, the service is better, and the facility is phenomenal. So that I just want to let you know. I know I've talked to a couple of you already about it, but I want to let the board know that was just my feeling as a business person. And our main focus is to get people in the Pines back there. I think the food and the service are going to do that. And the 20% is definitely going to do it in the off season. But our third focus should be to make money or to at least break even. And in order to get rid of 20% of our income isn't going to do. I mean, it's just not. So That was it. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations on all the stuff you guys are doing. I mean, it really is improving, and it's improving quickly. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
That was nice, right?
Doris Lloyd, Wood Duck, Lot 8. I'm here to alert the board about a dangerous situation on Nanklin Creek. It's the Grand Canal, which is between Wood Duck 1 and Wood Duck 2. There's a fairly large island. At high tide, there is no island. At low tide, the island is there like it always has been. What I'm suggesting to the board is just to put up 2 PVC pipes at the end of the island so that boaters know there's danger there. With the boating season coming up, new boaters do not know that there's an island there. The Coast Guard and what other organization was alerted by the MAC committee. They said it wasn't under their jurisdiction. I believe it's under our maintenance because we put out the buoys for the channels, the red and green buoys. They put out the center channel in that canal. All they have to do is stick 2 PVC pipes there so that no one runs or gets hurt running aground. I have 2 other things to ask. With the raising of the water or the sinking of the ground, I don't know which is, but several property owners on Wood Duck 1, every time there's a northeaster, we get inundated with water on our property. The bulkhead is too low. We have been asking to have the bulkhead raised. Nothing gets done. I personally have put in over $13,000 into that fund, and nothing has protected my property. So beware. I also like to point out to you that we have 12 miles of canals. In the future, with the water raising, we're going to have to do something about those bulkheads. Be aware of it and plan for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Steve Tuttle. I live at 40 Burr Hill. I'm also chairperson of the Elections Committee, and I noticed on today's agenda that you had 2 motions for MO6, and I just want to, again, say a couple things to the board about that. The first one that is presented by Slobodan Trendic, Director, reflects a collaborative effort of the Elections Committee, the Resolutions Committee, Bylaws and Resolutions Committee, as well as includes all of the comments by association attorneys. In our effort to modify MO6, we have incorporated the 3 major concerns that came up as a result of last year's election related to transparency. We've asked that the count of votes be open to any association member. We also included an option for more than 1 forum, which I feel is very, very important, that in order to inform our association members of who the candidates are, that there at least be the option for more than 1 forum. We did that last year apart from OPA, and it was very successful. The third thing that we have is that the count of the vote results would be announced at the conclusion of the counting on the same Friday that they're counted, and I understand that has been a big issue of contention within the resolution and how we define that. We'll work with whatever you want to do with respect to that. And then lastly, I just want you to know there's been comments about all the changes that the Elections Committee is making to MO6. And I want you to understand that over 40 of those changes that have been changed in MO6 that show up in your red highlighted big long version of MO6 were from our association attorney. They're not from the election. We did them because the MO6 was given to the attorney. The attorney was asked to comment. He did, and we incorporated their comments, believing that that's what would be the appropriate thing. So they're not changes that we have necessarily pushed for. The main things we pushed for are open count, announcing the results, and multiple forums. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you for all the work that your committee performed for our association. We appreciate that.
I hope I get the right time. Yeah, I hope I picked the right time this time. This is Anna Falls, Section 10. I am interested and concerned about the elevator at the country club. Now, you're planning all these wonderful things, and I'm hoping, I don't know what your decision is on the elevator. Can you explain to me if you have that on your files? You know, are you planning to do anything regarding the elevator? We have many seniors in the bridge club that I belong to, and we were very lucky to have you people agree to let us play there when it was older, you know. And often that elevator was a problem. It used to break down and all kind of things. Now, if you're going to do this beautiful room, we need a decent elevator because people here, most of them are seniors. And I feel bad when I see them struggling to get that thing going up and down. So we do need a new elevator. That's my opinion. So I don't know if you considered that before I get mad. Oh, well, you know what I'm talking about. So what is your decision on that?
Ms. Phillips,
Have you made any comments about it?
the elevator was not in the plans that were proposed for renovations. However, in order to accommodate for access to the second floor, the plans have a ramp being installed from the side of the building.
No, ramps are no good because they go up. And these women are old. You don't see them like I do, and my heart goes out to them. I mean, I try to help them, but I don't like the elevator either. I don't use it, but I will in time, I'm sure. But I do think you would consider that. You do a great job, and I love the board. I think you're doing a super job. But I hope you'll consider that when you make this beautiful country club usable for everybody. And that has to be important to me and to you. So I hope you'll consider doing something with it. So that's my concern. And thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'd like to comment on Donna's discussion. The ramps, even this ramp, is difficult for some people to walk up. And that's not very slanted. So just to let you know, ramps are not always the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I probably won't need this neither. Eddie Bell, I live at 52 Seafair Lane. My wife and my family have been coming down here as long as with me up into the early 80s. We bought a house in here in 2010 at 52 Seafair Lane. Now, the problem we have is with the drainage ditches. And I've had this problem from the first year we've been here, and it's went through 3 administrations. And I think I've worked with you on a couple times, and it was supposed to be rectified. It still is not rectified. I have pictures to show that water comes within 1 foot of my crawl space. And it's because the drainage ditches, the outflow pipes and all, I'm at the lower end. So all the upper end, which is supposed to have smaller pipes, and when it gets to mine, it's supposed to be larger, right? Because you have to flow everything downhill. Well, the pipe coming into my property is a 36-inch pipe. The 2 pipes that go underneath my next door neighbor's driveway, one's an 8-inch and one's a 10-inch. Now, how do you get more water to come out of an 8 and a 10-inch pipe when you have a 36-inch pipe flowing into it? And over 20-some times, I'd like to stick around and show you the pictures and show you what I'm dealing with. I was promised by Brian Hudson that they would look into doing the things and see about getting them repaired. He said to replace the pipe under my next door neighbors was going to be, in materials alone, about $800 to $1,000. That's going to be a lot more money for me. I don't have to have flood insurance, but I do because of that. I need help. Also, the pipe that goes under Seafarer, which is the lead out into the open air ditch that carries it on to the runoff area. Those two pipes are two 8-inch pipes. And I was told by Mr. Hudson that Ed, I can't remember his last name, but in charge of maintenance, Wells, said that they would not put a new pipe under Seafair because it would disturb the utilities. I work with contractors every day of the week, and I can tell you, it can be done. The problem is the money. I know it's going to cost between $5,000 and $10,000 to do that if you have a contractor come in, because they're going to have to go under those utilities, which they probably can very easily, but it can be rectified. If my house gets water in it, I am coming to the board with my attorney. That's not a threat. That's an absolute going to happen, because I do not feel my concerns are being addressed. I've called. I've left email messages for Mr. Hill. I've left email messages for our past general manager, but nobody seems to want to do it because I'm the only one. And when you pay your dues, you expect to get actions. And I will say, I should have started off with this. I do commend you all because you're all doing a great job. I did not know that the bathrooms and all were going to be like that. And they are fantastic. That proves that this community is concerned about how we look and how we maintain our properties. Maintaining the properties is another problem. The reason that my lot floods is because nobody takes care of their drainage ditches. Everybody's under the assumption that it's the responsibility of the association. Well, it is, but the thing of it is, what you got to look at is I take care of my own drainage ditch because it's called common courtesy. I think people don't understand, I think people don't understand that if it's in front of their property, they need to take the trash out of it. They need to take the leaves out of it. I got one guy down the street with me. Every year, when the leaves comes, he blows them all into the gutter so that the pines can take them away. That's ridiculous. If we don't have some kind of a law or regulation that says, okay, if you do this, we're going to clean it out and we're going to assess your lot for that clean out service. And take them to court if you have to. But you got to do something to get their attention. I mean, I get all kinds of debris, limbs that big around and about a foot long down on my property. And it clogs up those little pipes. Thank you for your consideration. I'll stick around if you want to see the pictures. I think you need to see the picture because that'll tell you how severe it is.
Thank you, sir. Okay, capital purchase request. Golf course, triflex mower.
I'm making a motion to the board to accept the capital purchase request as presented by staff and Andre Jordan's recommendation for a triplex mower from Finch Services for $19,990.02 tax. This mower is to reduce the labor required for cutting the short grass on the greens and the tee boxes, and is the recommended course of action from both our superintendent and our golf pro.
I'll second that motion. Discussion? Carol?
I just heard you say that Mr. Malinowski is in favor of this.
That's correct.
And what is the specific financial impact in terms of the man hours, the costs, et cetera, associated with this change when we know that this is a less desirable way to do the mowing because there are, and I did refresh, my memory about how we dealt with this in the past was correct. There is a difference, and we did have somebody comment on that at the work session. There is a difference between obviously doing it by hand with push mowers versus this riding mower. And there will be divots, there will be ridges, whatever the appropriate terms are, not being a golfer. But so from that perspective, in order for me to, since we've spent millions to improve this golf course, I need to feel comfortable that I know exactly what the trade-off is here. How much are we really going to save versus the damage that could be done by going in this direction?
Well, the savings, as I stated on Monday, will be approximately the cost of the mower within the first year in labor savings. So, Andre said it was 5 to 1. John says it's 6 to 1, and the time that will be required for an individual using this mower versus the push mowers. John also pointed out in their discussions with him that regarding the ruts or ridges or any implication of something driving on the greens, from where the mower technology was 10 to 15 years ago, that might have been the case. But the impact of the mowers as proposed in this capital request is actually a lower impact on the pounds per square inch of surface area than the walk mowers. These newer mowers are designed with much wider tires, so the mowers themselves are lighter. So the actual load per square inch on the green is less than someone walking with just their footprint and the smaller area of the push mower. And John, I told you 2/3 of the courses are moving in this direction. John said over 90% actually do. And almost every course in this area is using this type of mower. The only time that they'll go to hand mowers is in the peak of the summer heat when there's burnout going on the course. That way they can fine tune where they're actually cutting and work around areas that might be problematic due to the heat at the peak of the summer. And Tom was a part of that conversation with me and meeting we had with John yesterday.
I also just want to add, I did some research myself, and I also spoke to the Golf Advisory Committee members, and they were all in agreement this would be beneficial movement. But USGA put out an article here, and it says that the triplex mowers are making a strong comeback, and it would be the answer to lowering the operating budget without sacrificing playing quality. Playing conditions on the putting green mode with triplex mower are exceptional as a result of technology advancements in the recent years.
Well, I also did a little research on the United States Golf Association, and I found a different perspective on the same subject. One of the things that the association states as the biggest drawback to triplex mowers is the hydraulic leaks that can cause tremendous damage to greens, which can be very costly to repair. No matter how good the maintenance of this equipment is, they're unavoidable, and when they happen, it's very costly to fix that. So, I can read the articles on the same subject, the savings on labor, and how insignificant that saving is when compared to the total golf budget, maybe 1%, if that. And what the association states, and every club is different, but basically, to draw the player's time, the quality of greens seem to be very, very, very important. And I will just state one article that concludes with the following. Where is it? It has been said that a person is recognized by his face, not by his feet. And so too, golf course is largely recognized by the quality of their greens as opposed to roughage fairways. So I think whatever we do, whether we apply this new technology or not, I think we need to recognize the fact that there is a serious potential for damage, and hydraulics, it's a machine. You cannot overcome that if it happens. Who are we going to hold accountable, cost-wise and otherwise? So for that reason, and I totally understand where Director Hill, as an acting GM, is coming from, and the recommendations perhaps from our superintendent. I don't know how our greens are designed in terms of the elevation and whether the triplex mower is better or not. But it seems to be a topic that in a golf course industry as a whole, there are advantages and disadvantages, and the choice varies from a club to a club. So for this reason alone, the hydraulics leak potential, I'm leery of going ahead with this, and I'll basically vote against it for that reason. It's just too costly to take a chance on it. Thank you.
Just quickly.
I will add, the 21 push mowers that we have are 100% hydraulic. So they have a Honda gas engine that drives a hydraulic pump, and they run the same hydraulic reels that are referenced in the article to the rhino mowers. So we're already carrying the same risk with the equipment that we already have.
I did want to add quickly that the article from USGA does mention the hydraulic leaks, and it was definitely a problem in the past, and that's one of the reasons why they were leery about going to it. But they said that the new technology now, it's much lower risk. They're equipped with alarm systems. If they do have hydraulic fluid, that they would know immediately. And there's also actually has some that are fully electric and some it's a hybrid. So it won't cause the burning if it doesn't. So I do want to mention that new technology has made that a much lower risk.
Since I don't have a copy of your motion, it's not clear to me which one of these on this grid with 3 you're actually recommending.
The recommendation was for Finch Services for $19,992.
Okay. So
it's the lowest price.
Okay, say there plus. I'll just say that I appreciate my fellow directors giving us some additional information from these articles, but I guess what is a deciding thing for me is that our pro is in favor of, and therefore I have to trust our pro.
And just clarification, is that a superintendent, John?
John is our golf pro. John Malinowski is our golf pro. Andre Jordan is our superintendent. The capital proposal was presented by Andre Jordan, but it is supported by our golf pro, John Malinowski. And as I said, Tom was meeting with John yesterday with me, and Tom was a witness to that.
Okay, so I didn't know that I'm the superintendent, so he's totally in favor.
Yes, it was presented by the superintendent who is in charge of maintenance, but is supported by our pro who was to be responsible for playing conditions.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
CPI violations?
We have several violations today. The first violation is regarding 2 Whitesale Court for an unregistered vehicle, and I'm making the motion that this homeowner is sent to her attorney for a 10-day letter, and then without response to that letter, in compliance to the court system for us to be able to have the vehicle moved.
Second.
I think your motion is that you want to find them in continuing violation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would like to find the homeowner of 2 Whitesale Court in continuous violation, to send the matter to the attorney for a 10-day letter, and without response, court system for us to be able to have the vehicle removed.
I shall second the revised.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The second property, I have this 14 Drawbridge. This is in violation for maintenance. It's been in violation since January 19th, 2017. I am making a motion to find the property in continuous violation and to authorize Public Works to come in and remove the debris, clean up the property, and bill the homeowner.
Discussion?
I just have a comment to make, because this property is actually in a neighborhood where I am, and my understanding is that the property has recently been taken over by the financial institution. And if that's the case, are they made aware of the issues related to the appearance, and we try to resolve that with them if that's the case?
The board has been copying correspondence with this particular property because we're in a unique situation in it that although the property is technically upside down as far as the mortgage is concerned, Ocean Pines has the first position of lien on the property because of faulty deed on behalf of the bank. So we do have the ability in this case, because we're in first position, to collect our back dues and the charges related to this. And the bank is a dispute attorney right now trying to assert first position over us, but the property title was in their favor at this point.
All in favor?
The next property is 11732 Maiden Arms Lane. This property is a violation for an unregistered vehicle. Making the motion to find this property in continuous violation to have the attorney send a 10-day notice, and with a failure to comply to take it to the court system for Ocean Pines to be able to remove the vehicle.
That address, please.
I'm sorry. It's 15 Rockside Road. I read the mailing address on it. I apologize. So the motion is the 15 Rockside Road for the unregistered vehicle. But continue in violation, 10-day notice, and then to the courts for removal of the vehicle.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
All right. The next property is 41 Tail of the Fox. This property is in violation for within one shed. I'm making a motion to find the property in continuing violation and to send it to the attorney for 10-day notice, and then if not, to the courts for compliance.
Second.
Discussion?
On this property, what exactly would the court be doing? Removing a shed, or what would you expect them to be doing?
It will be an order to remove the shed.
Well, which one? You have two sheds?
Yeah, there's two. They're identical, so I guess they can take their pick as to which one they want.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next property is 6 Seagrave Lane. This property is in violation for unregistered vehicle. Making a motion to find the property in continuous violation, provide 10 days notice, have our attorney provide 10 days notice of compliance, and if not, take it to the court's for Ocean Pines to be able to remove the vehicle.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. The next property was in our packet, 87 Martinique Circle, has complied, so that's off the agenda today. The next property on the list is 8 Willett Way. This property is being brought forward for unregistered vehicles. I'm making a motion to find the property in continuous violation, to send the attorney for a 10-day letter, and if there is no compliance within 10 days, to take it to the court system for Ocean Pines to remove the vehicles.
Second.
Discussion?
This is a case of egregious continuing violations. And in this case, I would ask for immediate court action. This neighbor has been dealing with this situation for nearly 17 years. In 2014, we took court action. The case got dismissed because it became moot, because they removed vehicles. And here we are, right back in the exact same situation. And the neighbors have come to me directly because I'm the liaison to the ARC. And I've been working with them since September. And this is one where I don't think we have to deal with a 10-day letter, but rather I would ask that we take, if we have a majority vote of the board, that we go immediately to the attorneys and deal with getting these vehicles removed.
I agree with Sharon.
Second that.
So I'll second the amendment to the motion. Immediately.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The next property is 48.
You got to vote on the original motion.
Excuse me?
Voted on the amendment, got to vote on the original motion.
As amended. Right.
Okay. Call question on the original. That's it.
As amended.
As amended.
Original motion has. All in favor?
Next property is 48 Camelot Circle. This property is being brought forward for unpermitted RV parking. And making a motion to find the property in continuous violation, provide 10-day notice from the attorney to bring it into compliance, and without compliance to take it to court to have the RV removed.
Discussion?
The next property is 7 High Sheriff Trail. This property is being brought forward for an unregistered vehicle. Making a motion to find the property in continuous violation, to provide 10-day notice from the attorney for compliance, and without compliance, take it to the court for ocean funds that permission to remove the vehicle.
Discussion? All in favor?
The next property is 118 Robin Hood Trail, and that was complied out.
Okay, thank you. Old business, update GM search, Doug Parks.
So a quick update, we engaged the Novak group to conduct the GM search. As of right now, they have moved forward very aggressively. They've got posting out on national publications, websites, social media. They've also included information to the following Environmental Community Association Institute, CAI, the ICMA, which is the International City County Management Association, the municipal leagues in Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. So the information is out there. As of today, they have received over 40 applications that would go through the vetting process. So right now, from a schedule perspective, the next specific date is May 1st, when they will go through the initial vetting process of those applications, the intent of making a recommendation to the board. That process, according to their schedule, will take them through the middle of June. We've got a candidate review meeting scheduled for June 22nd, which ends up selecting those people that the board wants to interview, and then also the logistics for the following interview that will happen on July 6th and 7th. The final 2-day meeting that we have scheduled with them will be an in-depth discussion regarding that final candidate. All that being said, at the end of the day, we're looking somewhere after holiday, which is July 6th, 7th, July 4th holiday. We intend of making a decision because we'll have gone through the process of not only evaluating submitted resumes, we'll go through the process of vetting top candidates, and obviously selecting a final candidate and getting them on board as soon as possible. So we are just a progress update on that. So I know everybody was kind of wondering where we are in that process. And let me also add that if everybody's thinking about a delay, this was recommended to us by Novak. We did go back and forth with them about a concern regarding, well, there's a lot of time between when you're first looking at resumes and actual decisions that will involve the board with interview, evaluations, and person-to-person discussions with these folks. And they said, based on their experience in hiring at various strata within the organizations, this is their recommended process. And as a board, we agreed that although we had a desire to try to move that forward as quickly as possible, we said, the best interest of making sure we follow, the professionals' recommended approach to this. We said we would agree to that time frame. So just that way.
Go back, got those people out of curiosity.
Thank you, Doug. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I know that you said we're going back record, but I mean, to me, this is an inordinate amount of time. We already have 40 applications. Now we're going to have to go through the thing. First of all, we're going to screen, and then some of them. But you're talking weeks. And I suppose we agreed to go with it, and these comments probably managed, but I believe this is the slowest hiring process in history. And I would again recommend exploring Novak. If there are any ways possible to shorten any of those times.
If the board is comfortable with that, then I will contact Novak Group and ask them if there are any alternatives to moving it up. Although, if you recall, the last discussion we had on this is that it all sort of predicated on this 2 to 3 hour meeting we're going to have on the 22nd, and then the 2-day meeting that the rest of the top candidates. So we would have to be collectively supported. I think also contributing, as much as it might not be the most important factor, but we also looked at our calendars in June, and we've had this discussion at length about the right time. We took our availability, we took the recommendation from the vendor, and we came up with a date that, although it's not in the interest of trying to get something done as soon as possible, it's not optimum, but it certainly worked, and I think that'll give us the most of success that we need. But if you want, I will ask. I will also say that I suspect that the response will be, we talked about this, and unless there's something that has changed materially, then they'll probably going to push back and say, let's stick with the schedule. Just being realistic.
You say modicum of success. What do you define as success?
The ability to take candidates that have been vetted by a professional organization who we paid and allow us to interview them in the manner in which was described. The idea of, as a board, making a selection of who we see as the individual that would take over the GM position going forward.
And, the fact that you didn't include it, I assume you don't think it's very important that this board make a decision that it's done before the board is elected?
Well, I think that if you looked at the timetable, then it's well within the purview of this board. Unless there's any delay, which I would certainly, I think, collectively, and I'm only going to speak for myself, we want to make sure that we impress upon Novak that we cannot introduce any delay, only because it's open business that this board needs to address.
Well, July 6 and 7 are when we do the interview process. And in a 2-day meeting, then we will, subsequent to that, maybe during the period of time, make up our minds. And then, it's not shown here. I think it's not shown. Nothing after July. After July 10th, negotiation with top finalists, background and reference checks. Do more background reference checks. That is named for, maybe we have it right now. And there's no date that says, okay, here's the drop dead date, we're going to make a decision right now.
Well, Dave, point well taken. Again, it's incumbent on us to make that happen. The search firm can only go so far. We're going to make the recommendation. It's up to us. And obviously, the responsibility falls on us to vet, discuss, debate, decide. How long that process takes is up to us. I don't think any vendor would say, you have to commit to 48 hours from the time I present you the final candidates to have a decision. They don't have that authority. Quite frankly, I don't think that would work at all. So, however, the point is taken that we should raise our hand, take the responsibility to say, in the interest of getting this done as soon as possible, it's incumbent on us to make sure that we take that information and move expeditiously to make a decision.
And I'm talking about the time after July 10th. It says negotiation with top finalists, back reference check, and psychological assessment on top candidate. I hope that's not us. I am not following the psychological assessment. And I don't know how long they're going to take to do that.
Well, rather than speculate, Dave, I'll take these under advisement.
Yeah,
we'll discuss that with Novak. We'll share that.
I think that's
Tom. I just want to mention, just because it's here in writing for the world, dates in bold or meetings where all board of directors must be present. And when we were figuring out the dates, I said I couldn't make the June 22nd. Note that. I said that I would be away then on a planned
16.
On a planned vacation.
Update technology work group, Doug Parks.
So just to remind everybody, with the background of what the technology work group was obviously created for and what they're doing. I won't read through this, but it just kind of gives you that background information. Our charter has not changed. and therefore the guys that and the folks that are on that technology committee are working at a high level to continue to look at these kinds of things. But what came out of the first discovery, and it included discussions with staff, with department heads, and so on and so forth, we decided to focus on two specific things. One of them came up because they had an immediate need. One of them obviously was the connectivity between the anchor facilities of all of our amenities and other buildings here at Ocean Pines, the golf club, the yacht club, this building, the police station, and so on and so forth. So, as you well know in a previous meeting, we put together an RFI basically asking for companies to look and understand what the ask was. We have a connectivity requirement between these buildings. It has nothing to do with the residences. It's just specifically focused on how best we can leverage technology to provide high-speed, reliable connectivity so we can run business operations and use the technology that's required to run those business operations in an effective manner. To date, we've gotten back information from MediaCom on what's currently there. So it's sort of adjunct to the RFI, but it gives us a good understanding of exactly what MediaCom has in the ground. I've also asked MediaCom as part of the RFI to come back with a recommendation, and I asked them to respond to the RFI as an incumbent to see if they can help us with these connectivity issues as well. With regard to the other respondents, to date we have received 3. Again, one interestingly enough came in the form of what would be traditionally considered a response to an RFP. It included pricing, included schedules, and so on and so forth. I respectfully say that's really not what we asked for. We just asked if you could include what you can do, and we'll start from there. The other 2 are, under the advisement right now. As a matter of fact, I got one yesterday. We have other ones. Tom, I shared that guy from AirNet or whatever it was. So, so it's ongoing. All right. So again, there's progress going on there. We asked for the responses to be done by May 1st. The technology work group will have that information and start to look at it. And then the intent of, after we collect that information, look through it, is to ask the board for consideration of putting out an RFP. All right. So the idea is, number one, does the board want to put out an RFP? And if so, then we go back to the technology work group and say, hey guys, we have to put together an RFP, and then present that RFP to the board and say, go out to the street. That way everybody's aware of where we are. Okay. So. And then the other, and I think actually, the risk of sounding this one's more important, knowing the things that Brett has exposed with regard to some of the inconsistencies and some of the lack of functionality that the current financial system has, and under the guidance of Mary Bozak and her requests after her examination of the environment, really changed the focus to really looking at potential replacement for the current financial system. They're, Brett and Mary and their team have uncovered a lot, like I said, inconsistencies and quite frankly inefficiencies. So the technology work group took that under advisement and went forward with an evaluation. They sent out information to a number of different vendors. You can see the folks that we sent out to, and then obviously we narrowed it down to 3 other vendors. So that Member Suite, IBS, and North Star. We had a second round of demos with them. Actually, they did an online demo. We've got information back from IBS. We're waiting on information from actually, we just got information from North Star yesterday as far as pricing. So we're going to bring that to Mary and to the GM, just kind of say, where does that fit in the budget, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you don't know how long it's going to take to do an implementation. There are a lot of other factors that contribute to that. And one, how much do we have to take over? How much is available to put in the new system? How much from a compliance requirement are we required to keep from a historical perspective? So a lot of other things have to get worked out. So it's not I just want to set expectations. It's not going to be an effort that says, hey, we got this new software, you hit enter and it installs and everything's good. It's going to be a fairly significant implementation process and a migration from the existing system. So we've got follow-up meetings scheduled with the financial staff to conduct that, additional discussion, additional review with the intent of, again, delivering something that we won't hit this fiscal year, but I think we'll also take guidance from Mary and from either Brett as acting GM or the new GM as a comfort level of should we do it before the next fiscal year. I think Pat would have input to that as well as Gene, so I think we have to have that discussion, and we will. Again, just the intent was just to make sure everybody is aware that there has been some progress in that area. Right, this is a report, not a discussion, but go ahead.
I was adding because you were saying it's the timing on this. I think the goal when Mary's looking at with closing the fiscal year and working with the auditors right now, her timeline, which I am in line with, is to have a decision within the next 30 to 45 days to be presenting, hopefully at the May board meeting, but it's not the June board meeting, for budget approval within the $250,000 budget established this year, and for implementation at the mid-year in the Fort County system.
Yeah, I wouldn't get into that level of detail, but yeah, so the idea was once the quote-unquote busy season gets over, the thought was there was no reason to wait till the next fiscal year. It'll really start something and do that, maybe even run them in parallel for some reason, but we'll start the process again. There's no reason to delay. So this is what Brett just said. And then just making sure that the next steps that we set this out a long time ago. That's really what the technology work group is still going to look at. We're looking at finalizing recommendations for the short term, 6 to 12 months. These last two items that I just presented are consistent with that. Again, this was generated from the feedback from the staff to put the priority in for the things that were important. And then if you go for, and then long term, obviously, the intent is to keep the technology work group together to work with the staff and adjunct to them to say, hey, if there's any technology needs that you're looking at going forward, they're there to assist. All right. And then if you move to the next slide, I just wanted to point out, forget the first name there, but the rest of the folks on that list, I will say, and I'm going to point out somebody, Mr. Turner. He would stand up. Rick Turner is one of the folks on the TWG. He's attending the meeting. I want to say the folks that have worked on this committee have done an outstanding job. If you go behind the scenes and see, especially the evaluation matrices that they put together when they were looking at the software for the financial side, very, very well done. A testament to their professionalism and understanding of their role within Ocean Pines and their contribution. So I want to say publicly how I'm very, very impressed with all the folks on there and thank them.
Thank you, Doug. Motion, amendment resolution M06, Logan Trent.
Thank you, Director Herrick. Motion. I move that the Elections Committee's draft amendment dated March 21, 2017 be approved. Background. The Elections Committee draft amendment dated March 21, 2017 was placed before the board at the board's regular meeting March 25, 2017 as a first reading. In accordance with Resolution B01, this draft amendment, M06, may now be considered for approval at this second reading. Discussion. This draft amendment has been before the board at the board's work session on March 20th and as a first reading at the board's regular meeting on March 25, 2017. This draft amendment is the result of the Elections Committee's work over a period of several months. This draft has also been reviewed by our Bylaws and Resolutions Advisory Committee and then further reviewed by the association's attorney. It is now time for the board to proceed with the approval. Thank you.
Do I have a second? Mr. Steve.
I'll second. I'll second the motion for the purpose of offering a friendly amendment. The amendment is, I move as a friendly amendment to revise this version of M06 offered for second reading in the following manner. In attachment A, section 9.E. Replace the final sentence in this paragraph that reads currently. The results of the election will be announced at the conclusion and certification of the vote count. Replace that with the following sentence. These copies shall be locked in the committee cabinet until removed for announcement at an annual or special meeting of the board members. The effect of this amendment is that the election results will be read at the annual meeting or lacking a quorum at a subsequent special board meeting. This is our current practice. Other changes recommended by the committee and the attorney will go into effect, including the 200-word limitation on answers to questions. In extensive board discussions, it has become apparent that the timing of the announcements of the results were a single major point of contention. The majority of the board favoring continuing the practice, making the announcement at the meeting. Adopting this change will meet the will of the board majority while retaining the work done by the committee and the attorney.
Second the amendment. Discussion.
I can offer a comment on Director Stevens' friendly amendment to my motion. I have actually reached out to the Elections Committee. This is not my decision. I have always been looking for the Elections Committee to provide opinion, guidance, and expertise on this. They are comfortable with the change, the amendment that Director Stevens is proposing, and therefore I will support it as such because the Elections Committee wants to see this going forward, and they have no issue in reaching this compromise so that we can move on and get ready for the elections. So since the committee is okay and comfortable with that, so am I, and I will support it.
Any further discussion?
Just one quick question, and I believe, and I want a confirmation, is the information provided by the election community includes a specific request for recount submission process, correct? Part of it.
No, it does not. We have, as you know from the documentation that was mailed to all of you a few days ago, for the sake of keeping clarity on this subject, we decided to maintain the original draft submitted to the board on March 25th, which did not include any provision for vote recount. There are a lot of other issues that need to be taken into account related to the recount. And after reaching out to Bylaws and Resolutions Committee and speaking to the Elections Committee, Jim Trummel, as a former lawyer, offered some thoughts on the subject. We decided it is best to leave that alone for the board and the committee to address later on and move forward with the first draft as proposed during the first reading.
Ms. Jacobs.
I just want to comment that with this amendment being agreeable to the committee, that satisfies, I think, what we all were trying to accomplish, what I was trying to accomplish by motion that I put forward. And if this passes, I will gladly withdraw my motion.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion as amended?
No, no question.
That's what I said, as amended.
No, you have to call the amendment first.
Just amendment first, then the original.
Just amendment. Question is on the amendment, just the amendment.
First is the amendment.
Call the question on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye. Now the question on the whole thing. So
The motion as amended.
Original motion.
The original motion as amended. All.
Aye.
Okay.
Robert's rules.
We got it. Okay, Mr. Jacobs.
Given the vote that we just had, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Motion, amendment, resolution M09, Ms. Jacobs.
I move that Resolution M09 be amended to provide that a board liaison is not appointed to the search committee. Background, a search committee is appointed in accordance with bylaws 5.02b. The purpose of the committee is to solicit association members to be candidates for election to the board of directors. There is no further elaboration in the bylaws regarding the operation of Committee. Resolution MO9 provides for the role of committee and other general and specific responsibilities, including support from the staff and management of the association. So in order to separate the committee from the direction and policies of the current board members, there should be no board liaison to the committee. I will add that that is at the recommendation of the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee that I bring this motion to you. Do I have a second?
Discussion?
I thought in work session, in work session, we discussed the fact that all the meetings are open, so any number of board members could attend the meetings at any time anyway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I would like to offer an amendment to that resolution and make a reasonable compromise on this issue. Under roles, I'd like to have Memo 09 amended to include the president of the association shall appoint a director to serve as liaison to the committee. Liaison shall not be a director that is eligible for re-election. This amendment will allow the committee to be provided with a point of contact and still have the support from the board needed to carry out its assigned function. In addition, it offers compliance with Article 10 of our bylaws, committees and advisories bodies, Section 1005, relationships with association staff. Chairpersons or individual members of committees shall not give orders to the general manager or any other employee association. The former chair of this committee, Martin Baer, was in support of this amendment. He has direct knowledge and intimate knowledge of the function of the committee, and he feels like the committee should still have the support of the board. This removes the perception of any conflict of interest. I'm currently liaison assigned to this committee. Later on during the agenda, we're looking to appoint 5 members to this committee. This is only approximately 10 days before applications have to be submitted. I feel if we pull the support from this committee and have no point of contact for them to correspond with staff, I think it puts them at a huge disadvantage. And I really believe that the board should afford this committee the support that they need to carry out their function.
Awesome.
Discussion on
the amendment. Sure.
I don't believe that the amendment put forth by the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee requires an amendment to simply say that they need staff interaction. There's nothing preventing that. All the original motion was trying to accomplish was to remove any feeling of impropriety if a board member finds himself in a position of running for re-election and it could appear that there is undue influence, and so that was the goal. I appreciate your amendment, but the committee charged with this didn't think that needed to be amended.
Okay.
Yeah, and all good arguments. I think in the sense of practicality, I had originally been assigned to the committee way back when, and I had mentioned to Tom that since there's potential for me to run for election, you should take me away from that to remove any sense of impropriety. So I'm perfectly fine with that. As a matter of fact, I recommended it. I think the amendment serves to just say in language and documents what everyone would agree is a somewhat practical approach to it. So I don't have any problem. Matter of fact, I think it's probably a good thing to do. If nothing else, serves as a reminder for future boards to say, by the way, liaison for the search committee, just check this box off and make sure you
I'd like to make my comments and my thoughts known to everybody on this. I have 2 remarks. One with regard to the notion of staff's ability to interact, search committee's ability or other committee's ability to interact with the staff. I really don't think the board should be should have 100% unilateral power to create and control this. I see no issue with the search committee having the ability to have a direct interaction with staff. There's a need for that. And furthermore, a liaison to the committee to be sitting and be privileged to the information of who is running. I don't think the board really should have that kind of information in advance of anybody else. So those are the two reasons for which I actually like what the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee has recommended and what Director Jacobs has put forward in the form of her motion. I believe a director should not have access to that information as a liaison to the search committee prior to anybody else. And I believe that the search committee, given its unique role in our election process, should have a direct support from the staff without having to go through a board for that kind of approval, because the idea is to remove the board from the election process. So for that reason, I feel comfortable in supporting Bylaws and Resolutions Committee recommendation and Cheryl Jacobs' motion. Thank you.
As I said before, but I feel the need to say it again, we as a board member can attend any one of those committee meetings. And I also think that having committee in any way direct staff is a slippery slope that we shouldn't go. Just in general, while we appreciate everything committee's done.
Well, as you stated in your amendment, and then as I said, both the bylaws and CO1 have guidelines for the interaction between committees and staff, and that puts the liaison as the first channel in that conduit. And I think defining the parameters around a liaison is an important factor, but the role of a liaison is important in every committee so that we maintain the structure that was defined in our governing documents. And so I am in support for that reason.
I'll call the question. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the amendment?
I'm going to abstain. I was going to flip the phone, but I have got one of my. I am truly in.
All in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
I'm very confused.
As amended with
Tom's amendment.
Yeah. Meaning there would be an appointment of a liaison that would not be
eligible for re-election. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
What's the vote? 4-2. 4-2.
4-2.
1 abstaining.
Motion, Brett Hill, family time in the Oasis Pool.
The motion is to approve twilight swim at the Oasis Pool on Mondays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and family fun night at the Oasis Pool from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Wednesday evenings. I would request the board to continue the same family events at the Oasis Pool that were in place at the end of last summer with the expanded Monday hours that we requested from Worcester County. This would be the last 3 hours of Monday at 5 to 8 p.m. with families allowed in, but not closing to existing users. On a Wednesday family fun night from 6 to 8 p.m. with the pool closing at 5 p.m. for the existing swimmers. This would have 1 hour less impact than last summer's activities and would help promote sales at the restaurant on 2 of the 3 slowest nights of the week.
Second the motion. Discussion? Jacobs.
My problem with the motion is it should say what you just explained. In other words, it should have the detail that you went into about the fact that nobody has to leave on the Monday night when the twilight swim begins, and Wednesdays, in fact,
think it says, well, I missed that. I think it says that. Maybe it says not closing to, the motion, not the back.
That's my only point. That's what should be.
So can we go another amendment to a?
Withdrawal of read.
Yeah, just read it again.
Well, he'd have to amend it to include that language.
You write it down.
I know.
So the motion would be to approve family twilight swim at the Oasis pools on Monday evenings from 5 to 8 p.m. with the last 3 hours being family allowed but not closed to existing users. Additionally, to allow family fun night at the Oasis pool on Wednesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with the pool closing at 5 p.m. to existing swimmers.
Perfect.
I'll second that. But it's clean.
Yeah.
Clean.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to vote for the original, or what happened?
Well, I think that's the
I think
Okay.
We've got a new original.
new business.
Before we move to this, can I say something about old business? I want to bring back again the issue of the North Gate appearance. I was contacted again after we brought this up at the work session that it doesn't appear anything has been done yet. And I just want to make it clear that what we're trying to accomplish is not any grand scale change there, but rather just weeding, removing dead trees, let's see what else. Replace the trash, clean up the trash under the bridge, fallen wood, flowers need to be done. And I believe that you indicated, Brett, as I recall, that was sort of on the schedule, but I asked you, could you move that up and make that the first thing, because it is the first thing people see when they drive it.
It was escalated, and I will make certain that it's done this week. We lost 2 days this week due to rain, and with the playground, the turn girl, and the beach club all wrapping up, and the public works involvement, we were short-staffed this week, being able to adjust too much in what we could pull in, but it has been escalated with public works.
Thank you. I just want to keep bringing that up. Thanks.
Okay, new business motion. First reading resolution number 2, amendment, Dave Stevens.
It's not. Yeah, not there. I hereby submit the following proposed amendment to MO2 for first reading. This is not a motion. Sorry. I hereby submit the following proposed amendment to MO2 for first reading. Add the following. Paragraph 12G. The established use for an amenity, for example, adults-only pool, shall not be changed without the explicit approval of a majority of directors. Background. A prior amendment to MO2 consolidated existing resolutions on amenity scheduling and rules, which, taken out of context of the original, implied powers to the GM that went beyond those that were intended. This amendment simply further clarifies what was actually meant. And this is just a submission for first reading. No vote is required. I will close it for second reading after it's been discussed, it's been published, and everybody can have their input to it. So that's basically it. I've read it. it's submitted.
All right, discussion.
I would just like to add, the first reading and that first and second reading process, I just want to be sure that I get my comments into the process at the front end. When I was reviewing MO2, I noted a couple areas that I think should be reviewed also, in particular 5B and C. Some of the areas are in relation to the beach club and the tax ruling on that. And I want to be sure that our resolution is in full compliance with that. For example, if I look at 5C, all of the amenities of the association are available to the general public, subject to availability, except marinas and beach club parking, and I don't think that's true anymore. They're open to it. I just want to be sure that that is reviewed and maybe even reviewed with council. And there's another area, 11A, that I think kind of goes to that same point. So just have that reviewed. Since we're in the,
If I may, Pat.
Okay.
Last year, the last amendment we had was a single item amendment about boat ramps. That was passed. So if you look at the history of MO2, just one thing. This is one thing just because it popped up in a fairly important way, I think, in what the general manager's authority was with respect to and opening on Sunday too. So what I want to say is MO2 is a lot of things. You're right. You're dead right. There's a whole lot in there that needs to change. And I'm only addressing one of them. I mean, there's plenty more, but unless we, put a group together to go through it, just even beyond bylaws and resolution, I think you'll have a difficulty because you'll pick one, somebody else will see something else. So,
I'd like to make a recommendation that we refer a review of MO2 back to the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee, and I think we begin citing Pat's three items, I think 5AB or 5B and C and 11, and then with the guidance that asks them to look at the conjunction with any other potential change. I think that would be, from a process perspective, the correct way to do it. That's my recommendation.
Thanks. I would say that we certainly can do that, and I certainly vote with that, and all of that may happen. But on the other hand, I still have submitted this for first reading, and I still will bring this specific item, because I think it's an important change, to the board for second reading next time around, however it turns out. Sure.
While any director can certainly bring forth a motion, I am totally in agreement with what Doug is saying. That is the purpose of the committee, and I think when this was proposed, I said, shouldn't this be referred to the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee and brought forward that way? Also, I'm very confused about why you think you can bring this forward, Dave, and not call it a motion. That's still kind of curious to me that it's not a motion. I think
because a motion is formal and something that has to be voted on, and I think yes, and I think I am submitting it for first reading. I can call it a motion, but it doesn't make any difference. I mean, it's not going to be voted on. It's not going to be discussed. It's simply the first reading, and it's out there for everybody to see. And the next meeting, it'll be for second reading, and then the motion. So, now, let me say one other thing, Cheryl, if I may, about the bylaws and resolutions. Bylaws and resolutions, I mean, they're basically the driver behind resolutions. What their primary role is, limited to that, is not to develop new resolutions for change resolutions. But to make sure that those resolutions that were put forward are in conformance with the other government documents, bylaws, charter, DRs. I mean, that's their role. So by assigning this to them, just alone, to figure out, well, what should this say, or what should that say, or what should the rules be? You're giving them something that's really outside of their no.
Well, I would respectfully disagree here, but I think what we're doing is we're asking, where the board has recognized some, for lack of a better term, areas of interest, okay, where we think that there's, some ambiguity in a specific, portion or, language in a resolution. I mean, the intent of the bylaws and resolutions committee is to have that discussion. As Dave, and it's here where I would agree with Dave, where, consider the following, we have an open issue, and how does it relate to other governing documents such as the DR charter? So, I would think that they're not, being granted any additional authority or authorization. What they're doing is they're going to look at it at the end of the day, bring a recommendation to the board has the authority to vote on it, whether or not to do that. I just think that having another opinion, and having those guys do some of the legwork for us is one of the benefits of having a sign for that.
Sure.
I agree with what Doug just said. We have these committees out there, and we can assign tasks to them to assist the board. I believe that's their purpose. And I just want to make one comment, because I think the most recent legal opinion that we got about first readings, etc., which I still found a little confusing. I think that when you say it can't be a formal motion because you can't vote on it, I believe my understanding was it would be consideration. And yes, we do not vote on it, but it is a formal motion for consideration at the first reading. And then after discussion at the next time that it appears on the agenda, then be voting. That's my understanding.
Well, I'd be happy to change my words to for consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make additional comment. As Director Stevens pointed out, MO2 does require perhaps a total in-depth relook. We know a few months ago there was an issue around changes in fees related to the use of community center, how it impacted clubs like Pickleball Club. So if we're really going to be looking at the MO2, I don't believe the bylaws and resolutions committee should be the only one really to get engaged with this effort. I think what the board should really think about doing is directing other committees that can provide the amenity fee structures and usage and the language around this resolution to see if there are any additional improvements that are needed. Work with the bylaws and resolutions committee in a collaborative way to make sure that we avoid any future confusion like what we encountered a few months ago.
Maybe to summarize, Slobodan, encouraging the bylaws and resolutions committee to reach out to the other advisory committees where they see fit and have that. So that's
Well, you're going to. I sat through days. The original MO2. It was easily the longest single resolution that board ever considered, and it's difficult. We've already basically went through it step by step, yet still there. Unclear. I think what you just proposed isn't going to do anything. If you want to do MO2, you're going to have to sign a work, including the bylaws and resolutions, to work at, including a bit of work. And if you all are willing to step up to that, that's fine. But otherwise, this is unfit. And I still had put that change for consideration next month, further along, what else you want to do, we can consider it then, but it'll come up for second.
Okay, committee appointments, if there's any objection if I ask for approval of all these appointments at one time?
No objection.
Okay, Jennifer Cropper Rhymes, second term communications. Elaine Brady, second term communications. Thomas Piatti, search committee. Peggy Turner, search committee. Ken Corrigan, search committee. Kathy Gallagher, search committee. Kevin Millian, search committee. Put forth motion for exceptions of these appointments. All in favor?
Second.
Second. All right, second. Dave?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
And I'll say.
We're in agreement.
Okay, motion to adjourn closed session, Slover and Turner.
Director Eric, thank you. Motion. I move that the board adjourn to closed session as permitted by Maryland Homeowners Association Act, Section 11B, 111(4). A meeting of the board of directors or other governing body of the Homeowners Association or a committee of the Homeowners Association may be held in closed session only for the following purposes. I, discussion of matters pertaining to employees and personnel. Background. Recently, the association experienced senior level staffing changes at Beach Club, the golf, and food and beverage operations. Discussion. The association has been without a full-time general manager for 8 months. Closed session is necessary so that the board can review these recent personnel changes with the acting GM. Thank you. For your consideration.
Second.
Well, I have a question. The issues that you mentioned in your motion have already been addressed in prior information provided by the acting general manager. If you require additional information, or any director does, you can contact the acting general manager person to get the additional information. As far as this closed session going to necessitate action by the board or not, if it's not, and it's just for information, then I would be against one closed session.
I guess you have opened the floor for discussion. So I don't know if anybody else has a comment, any other board member before I do so.
Was it second?
Yes.
Yes, Cheryl second.
Well, just flipping on, as I messaged you earlier in the week when this came out, if there are questions that are to be answered, ask the questions, and I'd be happy to provide them, and I can provide them to you individually, and if they need to provide it all direct, I'm happy to do so. On the background of this, if there's an issue that's discussing me as the interim general manager, then let's discuss it right here in open session, and I need to go to close.
That's not the issue. I believe my background is very clearly stated. Senior staff changes related to the Beach Club, golf, and food and beverage operations. It's got nothing to do with the acting GM position. Because the positions relate to specific employees, I'm reluctant to go and discuss this matter for the sake of privacy and confidentiality. I would be far more comfortable, especially an event that took place a couple of days ago with another employee where you have reached out to the board for opinion. I was uncomfortable discussing something along those lines without being in a closed session. I felt it was very inappropriate to do that. So I see a great deal of benefit to have this quick discussion in a closed session to protect the privacy of those employees and to have a very, to afford the board a very communication and discussion so that everybody has the same amount of information.
Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, in the interest of full disclosure, well, we all talk to each other, and I and Slobodan and I have discussed this issue, and just very recent, but the general manager reaching out to the board. I think I told you in that conversation, that particular email wasn't reaching out to the board. He said, four votes can overturn anything. However, you say this has nothing to do with the general manager. But in your discussion, then why do you bring it up? We've been without a full-time general manager. We do have a general manager. He has all the responsibility and authority of any general manager that we've ever had in Ocean Farms. That's what the general manager is. That's except for the general manager. So don't say it's not about the general manager when you say it is about the general. Closed session is necessary so we can review these, that is to say the general manager's personnel change. Now the other thing is that in each and every one of these cases, the general manager has explained, provided explanation of why the changes were made and the background behind the changes. And again, as Director Herrick says, Mr. Herrick, if you want more information, I mean, the door is not closed to asking for it. I mean, have you ever asked? I do not feel I want to go into a meeting without knowing what the objective is. And I don't know what the objective. All of these things have already happened. Unless you believe that you're going to reverse them. I mean, tell us what it is that you expect to come out of this other than a discussion and information that I believe that we've already had and I'm perfectly satisfied.
You're asking me,
vote for it.
that's your choice. You're asking me what the expectations are going to be. Well, if I know what 6 minds think, then I will know what the expected outcome is going to be. But because I don't know what any of you think on a given subject, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. But I do know one thing. A manager of the beach club resigned recently and sent a very concerning letter to the board stating why that person decided to make such a drastic decision. I believe it's the duty of this board to take a look at what transpired recently, to make sure that we're comfortable with those events as they have unfolded. If you, as an individual director, don't believe that's necessary, that is your choice. I believe, as a sitting director, it is my duty to make sure that what's being done at the association level complies with our policies and procedures, with our employee handbook, with all policies that have been in place. The recent event from 2 days ago actually impacts a new version of the handbook that's in a draft with a new policy that doesn't exist in the old book. We gotta make sure we're doing this very correctly and that we don't have issues down the road. Again, I'm not comfortable bringing up the names of these individuals, therefore the call for a closed session. If you don't vote in favor of this, I want to be on record that I have attempted to review this because some of this information I was not privy to. So I would like to recommend a vote on the subject, and so let it be.
I'll just mention that all these answers that you're looking for are available to you, and all you have to do is ask, and they'll be given to you, so you'll have the information. If the information given to you, and you decide that you want board action against any of these specific, then I would understand. But if you're just looking for information and more information, you have the right to have that, and no one's depriving you of that right. So if you want information, just ask for it; it'll be given.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to point out that all during these discussions, which include emails that go back, that you have not mentioned not one specific instance of the general manager operating improperly, or the general manager not following the rules, even including the new handbook, which I downloaded and I read in regard to this thing that happened 2 days ago. And it was perfectly appropriate according to what was in there. But you have not mentioned one specific instance to the rest of the board where the general manager has operated improperly. And But basically, what do you say? We have concerns. We have concerns about a letter that was written by an employee who resigned. I mean, what does that mean? So what does concerns mean? Was something done that you specifically have information and evidence of impropriety? And I don't think so.
Director Stevens, with all due respect, okay, there's certain things that don't necessarily go and should not be put in writing unless there is a confidentiality statement so without having the information on certain issues, I don't know whether a wrong or right decision was made. That's why I'm calling for a closed session, because I believe that these things should be discussed before anything really is even decided to be put in writing or not. It might come out as a friendly discussion with full disclosures and everybody is comfortable. I don't have that information, but you and I, when we met, I told you what my concerns were with several positions and how and why I feel the closed session is required so that we collectively as a board in full transparency mode talk amongst ourselves, share the information, and then we are comfortable with what the outcome is, as opposed to a few of us benefiting from one-on-one talk or the three of us. That's not the way I want to operate. It's not full transparency. So there's nothing more I can say than the following. There are several positions where decisions have been made that I feel a closed session, a discussion, sharing the information with everybody so that everybody is dealing with the same level of understanding. Then we can collectively decide if everything is okay or not. Okay? So a recent action from 2 days ago that involves a brand new policy, which is social media policy, which was not in our old policy. I don't know whether the employee was made aware. I don't know if the employee was asked to sign and agree to the new policies. These are all HR process and procedures. And again, like I said, I'm not going to debate over this anymore. If any of you feel that what I have put forward as a reason to go into closed session is insufficient, vote against it. But I am going on a record because I feel that it's necessary, and that's all I can do.
Mr. Jacobs.
I want to just add to what has just been said, and that is, I find it curious that there is so much questioning about a motion to go into closed session for a completely legitimate reason according to the HOA Act. If you want to talk specifics about personnel, that's the way you do it. You do it in a closed session. There's been a lot of dealing with issues via emails. And for the most part, I would say hasn't been terribly productive from my perspective. This motion that's been put forward is one way for us collectively as a board, which I believe is our responsibility, to deal with these issues and discuss them. They cannot be in the open. So if you continue this opposition to wanting to go into closed session, then vote accordingly. But what Director Trendick has proposed is absolutely a legitimate motion to put forward. I just don't get all of the trying to tear him down about, well, this is not right, go talk to Brett, and if you want. No, these are the kinds of things that we have a fiduciary to deal with as a group.
But I just want to say, if any director has concerns or issues or wants information, they have the right to get it, and it will be given to them. But other directors feel satisfied with what's transpired, and the information that has been given is sufficient for them. And I don't think we all have to be brought into a meeting if we're satisfied with the information that's provided, and if you have additional questions, you have the right to that information. And ask the information will be given to you. But to pull us all in there just for information that we may not even want, with no board action to be taken, I don't see the reason for that. Doug? Right.
Well, I'll have to say, I'm objecting to going into closed session because the motion is related to me and my performance as the interim general manager, and it's specifically cited in the discussion that was about that. And if there is going to be discussion about me and my performance, and we're out for full transparency, I believe on the forum that the public is entitled to hear what those issues are, and I should have the ability to publicly respond to those issues, and that's why I'm objecting. And with the previous motion that was set forth before this one, for the special meeting that did not come to the table, I feel I'm owed that public audience.
Doug, you have a comment?
Yeah, and I have a little bit of vested interest since, as I said, I have a hard stop at noon. So, if it's important, you guys know we've shared a lot of emails back and forth. You know my position on communication. Communication is important, whatever form it takes. For consideration, Tom, I agree with you. Yeah, the information is there. People are privy to it. They consume. However, some people consume information, in a one-way capacity where they read it, they ingest it, they say, fine, I'm satisfied. Other people require some back and forth. So, your point is there's certainly at least consideration of potential benefit in having a discussion, which is a little bit different than information in email. I'm on both sides of this. I can really see the benefit, but anytime I get an opportunity to try to foster a level of communication amongst the board, I'm going to try to take it. And this is irrespective of the specific topic. So I'm kind of maybe at a little bit different level where say, yeah, there's some issues here. Quite frankly, Slobodan's point, I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about right now, but I don't want to squander an opportunity for us to have a better kind of communication if we can. Okay. Now, that being said, for all practical reasons, if we decide to go into closed session, I'm going to ask that you put me on speakerphone. Of course, that's a detriment to me because I can't see the nodding of heads and the and the body language and the sort of the subtle hints that go along. If it's a discussion that's that important, I think that's really the case. And again, I don't mean to sound selfish, because again, I've had a previous commitment. But if it's important enough, I would just offer to the rest of the board, if we have an opportunity to communicate as a group, we should do it. But again, I respect everybody's opinion in regard to whether or not we should move forward. But I just wanted to offer that again as a follow up to the email that I sent you all over this, the past couple of days. I'm very sort of committed to making sure that we exchange ideas openly and are okay with agreeing to disagree and bring those issues up and have them discussed, because I think it's an important part of that relationship building that we should be committed to fostering.
I just want to respond to Director Hill's comment. If I have any issue with his performance, I would not hesitate for a moment discussing those openly. In fact, I think that has been done in the past. So for the record, I am happy at any time to discuss the management performance in an open venue, whether it's today or in the future, or it has been the case in the past.
I keep thinking I agree about the discussion and we want to talk about things. And I know you're waiting to run out to your wedding. I get that. But I think not your wedding. Your wedding. I think number one, Brent's an interim manager, so I think we should treat this as such. And I think employee policies are extremely important. And the liability and just the responsibility of us as directors to enforce those policies, be aware of those policies. I think that's critically important, and I would be all in favor of the board moving in that direction, knowledge, et cetera. Since there doesn't seem to be a particular action that is sought at this time, I would prefer that we as a board become more aware of the new employee handbook, discuss that among ourselves at a working session, which is why we have working sessions. If there's concern about a particular occurrence recently and any liability from that, then I would think that should be addressed, that we have a concern there that really needs some board action. But again, I think because, in my mind, Brett is interim. He certainly should, I believe, is acting in the best interest of the association at all times. We as board members certainly want to verify that. But I believe that we should maybe take a more global approach to our employee policies as a whole, and maybe that's part of the work session. And also, I think this alone has heightened awareness that these are all critical areas that we need to pay attention to, and HR decisions are probably the most challenging that any manager makes. And I know that Brett's hoping that his interim manager becomes more interim and more interim and more interim this time.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor for the request to go into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain?
I abstain because of extenuating circumstances.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second, all in favor?